On this episode, it's the fallout show to NXT Takeover, SummerSlam and RAW, and we talk about Stewart costing Cena the title, Sting versus Rollins at Night of Champions, Dudley Boyz returning, and tons more now on Byte That. Hey gang, what's going on? You are listening to episode 105 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, a place where we sit down, we grab a cup of coffee, maybe a chocolate donut, and talk about men is spandex in the WWE and maybe the rest of professional wrestling. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, ByteThat.com, TuneIn Radio, and of course, for this and tons more, head on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and joining me as always first from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, holding Green Lantern, Keith Poshik.
I sure am, and I kind of hate you for the fact that you mentioned a chocolate donut. I've been doing a whole diet thing recently.
How's that working out?
To the gym. I would murder a fool for a chocolate donut about now.
Dude, put that thing in the coffee. Oh my goodness, beautiful. Speaking of beautiful,
something.
From Boston, Massachusetts, Rhino McNulty.
I actually had a chocolate donut this morning.
Oh, how was that? How was the donut?
Fine. Yeah, I did the whole diet thing for a couple months. I lost the weight. And, what's the point of losing the weight if you don't put it back on again? Of course. So back to the donuts it is.
I need to have a donut tomorrow, Keith. I'll make sure to post a picture whenever I do have that. Now, people.
I hate your souls, and I hope they burn in the fires of Mount Doom.
But you hate everybody by default, so there's no difference.
But I don't want to banish them to Mount Doom. You can go to Mount Doom, sir.
Well,
Nerd.
Yeah. Anyway, we have two huge announcements. Number one, 2 years, guys. This is our 2-year anniversary of doing Byte That. We had the 100-episode celebration, but 2 years.
It's pretty
On the
nuts.
topic of hating everybody, I cannot believe that I have put up with you for 2 years at this point.
Well, technically more, but in the podcast, in the recording realm.
In the podcast, in the stuff, yes, and making this outward motion towards our lovely, lovely listeners. With you, I can't believe that I'm still sane / talking to you.
Yeah, it's
really
insane to think that
one more than the other.
That we've already been doing this for 2 years, and I think we started just after SummerSlam 2013. So there you go.
Crazy how things go by. Now, within those 2 years, getting to the next announcement, we had a situation that we had to address last week. With, of course, we're on iTunes. And, people can love us, they can hate us on iTunes, they can do that. But at least talk about us. We had a review about Jim Cornette's podcast that was a 1-star rating, and that just couldn't happen. Give us a 1-star rating if you want, or 5, but give it to us. So you guys were really awesome, and we're actually going to read some of those iTunes reviews at the end of the show because they were simply awesome. So definitely stay tuned for that. Now, that being said, we had 9 hours of WWE entertainment in a 3-day span. 3 days in a row, guys. So, are you doing good? Have you healed up? Are the wounds okay?
It was exhausting to have 3 full-on shows of wrestling. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm kind of glad to just be able to sit here and just talk about it and not have to sit through another show. Not that they were all bad. Actually, every show was good. But it's just the time you had to sink into it was a little much for one weekend.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I'm good for a while. It was awesome. It was a great weekend of wrestling, but I'm good for a while.
Yeah, it almost felt like Raw could have totally been a recap episode, and I think we would have been okay. We got a great Raw, but yeah, we need a little breather. So we're going to keep going, but of course, first up we had Saturday, NXT Takeover happening from Brooklyn. All of the 3 shows happened in the exact same arena. So people that went to that's got to be ridiculous. How much money must have people spent on just those 3 experiences? You guys can check out my full review of NXT Takeover over at the channel Byte That Cast. I go match by match, but I want to get your guys' overall feedback or reaction to the show, I should say. Night 1, SummerSlam and RAW have not happened yet. What did you think?
Takeover, I thought, was a really good show. It had an amazing atmosphere. The crowd was super hyped up because it's like the first time that a major show is happening outside of Full Sail, I believe, right?
Yep.
First major takeover. Because I know they've done some house shows in New York, but first major event, selling out the Barclays Center is a huge deal. And it was just awesome. For me, it was 100% all about Bayley versus Sasha Banks. And I was completely into that match, and that's the one that really kind of got me hooked into this show, and definitely just match of the night. It was actually kind of hard for me to get into the main event. I don't know if it was just me, but part of that has to do with the whole, it's just kind of obvious when champions are going to lose or retain in NXT. That might be its one fault.
I think that's really what hurt it.
That is even true of the Divas match, you could argue, because Sasha Banks was just recently called up. But I don't know, something about the main event, I just wasn't as into it as I wanted to be, but it was still a solid match. Just for me, that Divas match just stands far above everything else on the show, but everything else was good too.
I think it comes back to the whole predictability of NXT titles and how it's almost a detriment to the product itself. Like, you knew Kevin Owens wasn't going to win the title, probably not going to win the match. It was still a hell of a match. I thought they had a really good ladder match for what it was, but I think the difference in what you're saying, Ryan, is that the NXT/WWE women's division is still such a wild card where really more than any other part of the show, anything can happen in it. So there was a chance that Sasha Banks still retained the title. That being said, I have to agree they did have the match of the night. They told this is going to be kind of a like an ongoing theme of my SummerSlam and NXT Takeover opinion for the whole weekend, and it's storytelling in wrestling. How if somebody tells a great story in the ring, it can make or break a match, and I think Bayley and Sasha Banks killed it during their match.
I'm actually going to say that, first of all, that was not only the match of the night for me, that has been my favorite match of the year. And I'm putting this over Kevin Owens versus John Cena because I had goosebumps. I had so many feelings that I haven't had in a very long time. And the fact that, similarly, Sasha Banks has been somebody that keeps being involved in that comment, because I said that in the previous takeover. So Sasha Banks is easily now solidified my favorite performer in the WWE, not just Diva. And your comment about the main event, Ryan, there's a question at the end of the show that I think also addresses the situation a little bit indirectly, but I think it just that it felt artificial. It felt like Kevin Owens is on Raw, but then he's challenging for the title because he was the previous champion, and Bálor's sort of trying to be the top guy in the NXT. While Sasha and Bayley just had a great story. They could have just stood side by side for 10 minutes and people would have been like, holy crap, this is amazing. But with that last match, I wasn't feeling the buildup. As Keith said, I think it was an overall very good ladder match. But then getting to the show, because obviously we can't go match by match here. You know, we had new NXT Tag Team Champions. We know that there's somebody else going to be debuting. Apollo Crews made his debut against
Very
Perfect
impressive.
10, Ty Dillinger.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match.
Yeah, any quick comments about that?
That guy is athletic as hell. I've heard of him, but I've never actually seen his matches. I know he was like Uha Nation, I believe.
Yeah,
was
Uha
his
Nation. Yeah.
previous name. Yeah, I'd only just kind of heard things about him, but to actually see the guy in the ring, he was phenomenal.
He looks scarily like Bobby Lashley, but good. And that's what I couldn't get over that for most of the match.
Yeah, because some people were complaining that his character is basically, I'm a really good babyface and I'm happy to be here. So that's where a lot of people came up with the Bobby Lashley vibe. I think that's going to change sooner rather than later.
But he's got that like Neville-like athleticism, you know?
It's like if Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin did the fusion dance, and then that's what came out.
And then Neville was like the cheating father or something like the third wheel in that thing. Anyway, that's probably going to get really
Is that another fanfic fantasies, maybe?
Yes. Chocolate fantasies. Anyway.
All right, moving on.
So, yeah, that was easily my most looking forward to thing, because I think that Apollo Crews is going to be, you guys just keep looking at me like you want to kill me, but
Doesn't help we talked about chocolate donuts earlier.
yeah, that's just the theme of the episode. But I'm looking forward to Apollo Crews. I think we can end it there. Now, of course, we got a great show. I think the weekend could have ended and we would have been satisfied. We get 4-hour SummerSlam. We get an extra 4 hours to the 2 hours we got the night before. Same thing. We can't talk about a lot of the things. I need to jump right into the thing that people are talking about the most. We got to get to Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar, which was the match we almost forgot to predict last week. What did you guys really think about that conclusion that so many people hate?
To go back to my point about storytelling in wrestling, this is what happens when something goes wrong, when that one thing doesn't click when it comes to storytelling and everything just feels like out of place, doesn't really feel coherent. And it leaves you wondering, like, what the hell is going on? And that's kind of really what happened with that ending. Like, I think it was fine as far as like how to finish that match. Like we said for weeks that there's no good way for them to do it, right? But the execution is where everything kind of fell apart, really. And the whole timekeeper thing makes zero sense. Like, as far as where the timekeeper sits, how would he see that? That doesn't add up. If you want to talk about the timekeeper going into business for himself, why did he not disqualify Seth Rollins when Jon Stewart hit Cena with a chair earlier that night, like an hour before? It just makes zero sense, and I don't think it wasn't a good example of storytelling in wrestling.
It was the worst thing ever in the history of everything.
I don't think it was the worst.
When does a timekeeper ever have the authority to do that, to ring the bell? It makes absolutely no sense.
I'm going to say it's not the worst because at least we didn't get any NFL-like replay where they all gather around and looked at a tablet and stuff like that. The truth is,
they just had to get cute. They had to get cute because they already had a ref bump in another match earlier in the night. So they couldn't do ref bump number 2 with Undertaker tapping out or something like that. And it's like, it's absolutely insulting that they just invent new ways to end matches that make zero sense. Nobody buys into it. I don't get it. Just have Undertaker lose or, another way or something or whatever. I know they want to protect Brock Lesnar, but I don't think it makes him look that much better because he's still passing out to the triangle chokehold.
Exactly. And I mean, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but the way that the ending was executed, instead of making it feel like both guys won the match, it actually felt like both guys lost, respectively. 100%. Like neither of them looked strong at the end of that.
It was honestly one of the worst finishes we've had in a while because we've had crappy finishes like Ryback versus Cena, the last man standing that never ended. But at least even then you can kayfabe go, well, they were both so worn out that they just cannot continue the match. You can kayfabe out of that. But as Ryan mentioned, the referee got bumped and Jon Stewart hit Cena with a chair, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. So why didn't the timekeeper do anything there? When it's even in the same show that it doesn't make sense that happened, why even do that? Here's the exact same scenario that they could have done, and it would have worked. Just have it be so Lesnar and Taker are like sort of brawling. The referee's really close to them. Taker can kick low blow him and have the exact same finish. It is the exact same finish because he still got a cheap shot, which I think that combination is what killed the crowd. If you notice at the end of the match, people didn't give a crap. The crowd was absolutely ecstatic for the match, but by the time the bell rung, they could not care less. That's a big issue. You didn't hear boos, you didn't hear cheers. It was like, oh, okay, so this is how Lesnar loses? Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone just got taken out of it because the timekeeper never rings the bell like that. It's never happened. And like you said, same timekeeper on the show. You could even argue, oh, this is a special timekeeper that calls the bell. Like he's the only guy to do this because it hasn't happened any other time in WWE, at least in recent memory. But then it just, they have like an inconsistency on the same show. As far as the actual match goes, I was actually into it the rest of the way. This is way, way, way better than the WrestleMania match.
Oh, God.
The only thing is, as better as it was, you're still watching that match basically hoping The Undertaker doesn't die. He just looks out of breath. he just looks defeated. That's all I can describe it as, is he looks absolutely defeated, like he shouldn't be in the ring anymore. His best days are clearly behind him, and it really makes me question, like, if he should even be wrestling. Like, I really don't think he should be.
At the end of the day, all that match really can be is Brock Lesnar slowing down to meet The Undertaker's pace, and that doesn't look good. Like, we've seen Brock Lesnar keep up with... He could decimate John Cena and Seth Rollins at the same time in one match and be everywhere and just be lightning quick. But then we get this other Brock Lesnar in these matches that's like, okay, going to match The Undertaker's pace. It's going to go slow as heck. And that's basically as fast as we can go.
Exactly. It makes him look weaker when he was decimating
it makes him
everybody
look
else.
Way weaker. Exactly.
I think that was the key part. It wasn't that even Taker looked better than the first match. Lesnar was way weaker in this match because in the WrestleMania match, Lesnar was full offense. So Taker looked bad, but at least one of them ended up looking like themselves. In this match, neither one of them, like Taker didn't feel like the Taker we're used to at WrestleMania, and Lesnar didn't feel like any of the Lesnar that we've had in 2 years. So like you said, Keith, it was a lose-lose situation with what happened on Raw and the combination of all that, which I guess we can get to now. Just a quick thing, have Bo Dallas come out. I think that's all cute. What you have happening right now, but this was like Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Why did you even do this? It tarnishes everything that you have literally spent months upon months of building for us.
Because, yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, Brock Lesnar lost that match. For the last year and a half, we've been saying how great it's going to be for the person's career that beats Brock Lesnar for the first time after ending the streak. And now that's The Undertaker, a young up-and-comer that really needs that win.
Not even like a clean
and
win
not even
or
a
anything.
good way.
It's just they gotta ruin everything, man.
And the last thing I want to say about this is that I get it. Some people can go, well, maybe they wanted to sort of go MMA route, going some, BS finish that happened, and it's a technical loss, but then, Lesnar's still kind of undefeated if you really think about it. This is wrestling. It's fake. It's predetermined. We know this. So don't treat it like something that it's not, because then who does this benefit? It doesn't benefit MMA fans. I don't think they're going to give a crap, and we don't give a crap. And based on the reaction when that happened, everywhere pretty much I went to, I don't think it's the best choice. Now, we go from something that we didn't necessarily like to something that I couldn't stop smiling for about the next 30 minutes to right now, actually. So we have this...
You mean that GIF of the match that we got from SummerSlam, right? Where the Undertaker's laughing?
Well, actually,
because that's the best
bring that
thing
up.
that happened.
So that happened at least here. But Seth Rollins versus John Cena. I actually want to not talk about Rollins. Let's talk about Cena for a couple minutes. Was there something wrong in this match with Cena, or was it just me? Everything from the springboard stunner, it felt really sloppy. To the point where even Stone Cold was tweeting about it.
The springboard stunner is always sloppy.
No, but this is...
the springboard stunner is dictionary definition of sloppy.
No, but this was
name
a new
one
low.
Name one time where they haven't had to say, I don't think John got all of it, because it happens every single time.
This one was just bad. It was easily the worst one. And just throughout the match, certain botches happened that it just seemed like Rollins was trying really hard. And then maybe Cena with the broken nose. I don't know. Something happened, but did anybody else get that?
I didn't feel like anything was particularly too off. I thought overall it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was a great match by itself. It definitely felt like Rollins was the carrier in that match. Like, Seth Rollins set the pace. He was the one that did everything like that, and Cena was just keeping up. But I think it turned out fine. And my new favorite thing in wrestling, period, is Seth Rollins' like suplex off the top rope, roll up into Falcon Arrow.
Yeah,
it is
that
the
is great.
coolest.
Actually, the way this match
spot.
The way this match was worked was actually very interesting, and they definitely knew the crowd that they were in. Cena completely worked a heel style, while Rollins was totally working the babyface style, doing all like
even in attire. They
also,
really
this was
played
a pay-per-view
up
of
to
outside dives. There were outside dives like in every single match up the wazoo. But anyway. Rollins did a bunch of those. He went for the Phoenix Splash or whatever twice. He was basically doing all the babyface stuff, and Cena was the one doing the rest holds and all that. So Cena was definitely working a different style. I didn't feel like he was too off aside from the stunner.
Yeah, I think Rollins stole the show. But now,
Absolutely.
we get a ref bump. This hasn't happened in a while, this type of traditional ref bump. So my first thought is, as I mentioned in the predictions episode, maybe Reigns is going to come out. I don't know, something weird. Now, Jon Stewart comes out with a chair. Jon freaking Stewart, who I love. I mean, I've always been an avid Daily Show watcher. I'm really sad it's done now. So then he proceeds to maybe hit Rollins because, you know, they did have that rivalry that happened. But then Jon Stewart turns on the universe, hits John Cena with a chair, and because of that, Seth Rollins retains. Wow.
It's kind of the best thing ever. Like, it's
just
so
kind
weird.
of. It is the best thing
It's
ever.
so weird that Jon Stewart is the reason, or one of the main reasons, that Seth Rollins beat John Cena for the U.S. title. Like, that is hilarious. Like, that is going to go down in wrestling history. That Seth Rollins wins via Jon Stewart.
And
Pretty
I mean,
hilarious.
it's a great out. The fact that they needed an out for that match so that Cena just wouldn't lose 100% cleanly. And Jon Stewart ended up being that perfect out.
And we get a credit squared circle because then obviously everybody's thinking, so is it going to be heel
So what's
manager?
happening?
Like, what's the deal with this now? And there was a speculation that the reason why he did it is because he's such an old school fan. You know, he was already sort of offended by the fact that the streak came to an end, that he didn't want John Cena to match Ric Flair, because if he won, this would be his 16th title reign. Now, lo and behold, we go to Raw, and we receive confirmation. So his character, if you think about it, is that he is a smart that can actually do something about the things he doesn't like. He has the internet in his hands, guys. What do you think about the fact that that's the basic explanation? It's not this overly elaborate thing, just good old-fashioned wrestling fan that loves Ric Flair.
I think they just wanted Jon Stewart to interfere in this match, and then they just looked on Reddit to get an explanation later.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yep.
Although, granted, they did the whole setup with him wanting to talk to Lesnar about the whole Undertaker streak thing, so there's a good chance it was planned. It's just funnier to think that Vince or Triple H went on Reddit and just stole the explanation because they're just like, yeah,
way better than ours,
Yeah.
so let's just use
it's
this
not
one.
too far for WWE to retroactively fix a storyline.
Indeed. Agreed.
Now, he actually got some physical involvement there. John Cena was immediately pissed off, and then he AA'd him, and a bunch of people even mentioned that was better than when Kane sells it. So what you guys think about Jon Stewart just almost being completely involved? I honestly think he should stay involved. I enjoyed it.
I'm not too sure we're going to see too much else, but that was awesome. I think Jon Stewart did an awesome job. We got a lot of good celebrity involvement this weekend in wrestling. Stephen Amell was definitely great too. So it was really cool to see Jon Stewart take an AA, because you didn't think he was going to get like that physically involved, like he was going to take a bump or something like that. But it looked awesome, and it was something I wasn't expecting.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think Jon Stewart needs to be around anymore personally. I think it's one of those we are at the perfect amount for it to be enough, and then anything more will just kind of maybe drag a little bit. So I'm kind of happy that there's a possibility that he's not coming back. But it was awesome. Name the day that you would think Jon Stewart would take a bump in a WWE ring before Monday.
I'm so glad I never thought about that, because then we got that an amazing moment. Cannot complain about it. Now, we do get to the end, and the whole stipulation behind Rollins possibly winning was that if he were to win, he would get his own statue. Now, apparently, people at WWE are quick to work, so, Raw starts in less than 24 hours.
We kind of rolled over it, but Seth Rollins is the United States champion now. How weird is that?
That is
right?
ridiculous. And we still don't have we really don't have a clear sight of what they're going to do with that. And that's what I sort of want to get to with this. So, of course, the whole build up is that, it's going to be the statue, but some people were skeptical because they already showed it before. So are we just going to see it again? Ryan, I think you jokingly mentioned as we were watching Raw, hey, so is it going to be Sting behind the curtain? And hey, it's a brand new Sting! Curtain number one. Copyright. Be careful, man. Be careful.
It's okay. Only 2 bars.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
Nice.
To be fair, I had heard rumors that Sting was going to be at Raw. They said he caught some like late flight to Brooklyn or something like that. So my guess was it was half serious. I was actually really surprised that it did end up being Sting. But like you said, they showed the statue earlier in the night. So normally, if they were gonna do like a surprise reveal, they wouldn't have shown it to you by now. So it was really cool that it was Sting, and just holy crap, it looks like we're gonna have Seth Rollins versus Sting at the next show.
Is it really cool that it's Sting?
I think
Do
it
you
is.
really want to see Sting in that match?
Yes.
I don't know what to make of it. It's official, by the way. Triple H did announce it in a video, so it's going to be Night of Champions, Sting versus Seth Rollins, which just doesn't make any sense. This goes back to our whole argument where do people just get random championship opportunities? What's going on here?
Well, I mean, that's nothing new, that if you just beat up the champion, you just get a title match.
BRB.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
BRB, I'm just going to
There's no more number one
down.
contenders matches, because I guess that would just be too predictable if they put Sting in a number one contender match with, Zack Ryder or somebody. It doesn't even matter who it is, but, they got to save. I think, you don't want Sting wrestling on Raw. They want to save it for the pay-per-view to get people interested, whatever. But either way, you guys might not be excited for it, but I am, because it's a really interesting matchup. I didn't think we were going to see. How many fresh opponents are you going to have for Seth Rollins, depending on how long he's going to have the title?
Would you really use the word fresh?
How is this
Sting?
not fresh? Did you ever think in your life that you would see Sting versus Seth Rollins?
Well, yes.
You
From
did?
like as far as well, no. Okay. I mean, yes, you are right from that respect, but give it to somebody that isn't like so old, you know what I mean?
Who? I really like this. This is like a total change
You've got
of
a
pace.
whole mid-card of people that could rise
Yeah,
to the
but-
occasion, right?
I
feel like
why
here's
Sting?
what happened.
Who would you put there? Who would you put?
I don't know. What about somebody like Cesaro? What about somebody like Kevin Owens? What about somebody like Rusev? What about Ziggler? All those people
that's
that
the thing,
could
is
make
like,
an interesting
sure,
feud.
Those would be great matches and great feuds, but are any of those guys really in the spot to like be main eventing a pay-per-view right now? And I would say no.
Why not Roman Reigns?
Honestly, it's not
We
a
know
champions.
it's coming
That's what we
Because
keep
he's already
forgetting.
involved in something right now.
Yeah, he's doing other stuff, which we'll get to in a bit. But keep in mind, this is Night of Champions. We're coming off SummerSlam, so they need to figure out what's the bait that they can use for maybe Attitude Era fans. A bunch of people, saw this for Jon Stewart. Raw probably had a lot of people. Dudley Boyz, we'll talk about them too. So I think this is the best way of how do you get those older fans to hold on a little longer. Because, Keith, let's put it this way. They're not there to watch Sting. Indirectly, yes, that's what's going to happen. But in the process, they're going to get to see the current champion. They're going to get to see a lot of other people when they originally just wanted to go see the icon. Or the Vigilante, which I still don't like very much.
No, but don't you think that magic wore off at WrestleMania? Like, we've seen Sting once before. Those same people probably ordered WrestleMania, and they got nostalgia overload with that whole NWO DX thing,
Well,
right?
here's the thing, all right? You had SummerSlam, and that can kind of sell itself on its name alone, much like the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. But for these B-level pay-per-views like Night of Champions, you need a really interesting matchup to sell the pay-per-view. So I think it was cool to like save Sting, because they were thinking about using it for SummerSlam, to save Sting for this matchup against Rollins. And I don't know, like I said, there's not too many other people I would put in the title match right now if it wasn't going to just be another John Cena Rollins match. And I think this is just completely unexpected, out of nowhere, like an RKO, it feels right to me. I like it. It's interesting.
And here's the thing. While I was watching SummerSlam and Raw, I was texting with a friend he's not a casual fan, but he's a more traditional fan. And it was interesting because almost everything that I liked, he completely hated. Kevin Owens Cesaro, I thought was a good match. Finn Bálor and Owens. And he was like, this is really boring. That fat guy can wrestle? Come on. And then the little things that we're complaining about,
Kevin Owens.
he was perfectly okay with. And it's not that we're right and he's wrong, but there's a completely different kind of audience that the same way, we buy a lot of video games, right? There's people that buy 2 games a year and they're super happy with that and they don't need to buy more. So I think that once again, this is just WWE's way of testing the waters. They're already doing great with the network. They're actually going to have Madison Square Garden live show like they did with Beast in the East in October. So I think we should wait and see, because I'm curious as to how they're going to build this, considering Triple H already beat him.
And shook hands.
That too. So before we get to the announcements, obviously there was one more surprise on Raw, and that is that the Dudley Boyz are back. New Day became tag team champions once again. I went to go get some water, and then I come back and I see Bubba Ray and Diva in the ring. I'm like, damn, I took a long time to get this water. What the hell?
Same exact thing happened to me, interestingly enough, as I went down to get some water.
Same here. I started cooking dinner, and all of a sudden I see the Dudley Boyz going to the ring. I'm like, what? Dudleys? And then the Dudley Boyz showed up in the ring, and it was awesome. Oh, God, I'm so happy that Bubba Ray and Devon are back. It's so cool. And we were kind of talking about it last week, but there's such a big, spectrum of different types of talent in the tag team division right now. It's so neat to see the Dudley Boyz and how they mesh with all of those, because really there's no other team that kind of fits the Dudley Boyz style in the tag team division right now. Like, everybody else has their own. So I think they're a great addition. And quite frankly, if they give Bubba Ray free reign on microphone and stuff, it'll be fantastic if his TNA run is any indicator of that.
And they're probably in the best shape of their career. They look younger
Absolutely.
than they ever did in their WWE run. And last quick thing there, it's funny because last week I think I mentioned the whole old versus new type pay-per-view thing that WWE should do down the line. We're seeing 2 matches with Sting and Rollins and probably New Day Dudley Boyz happening at Night of Champions.
Yeah, no, this is really cool, because the New Day is just the hottest tag team out there, and now you're gonna bring in a legendary tag team to hopefully elevate the New Day even more, because I think there's just so much you can do with the New Day. And these are, the Dudley Boyz are an awesome team to just bring in to really elevate them. Because down the line, I really want to see someone like Big E getting involved in a World Heavyweight Championship match with the New Day kind of behind him on this, where it's not just all about, Juan's doing those hip thrusts like Big E, but
Hashtag tricep.
They can go so far with the New Day, and I like that. This team, the Dudley Boyz, they should really draw this out as long as they can. Just make this an awesome feud, because it has so much potential.
Now, they're not the only ones with a ton of potential. Getting to a couple of the announcements that we have going on, there's something that's really special happening this week on the YouTube channel. We've had a lot of conversations, guys, about where do we go in the future regarding not just the podcast, but of course the channel. We have Byte now. We have all that cool stuff, which you can always check out. But this Thursday, we're posting a YouTube channel update video. Now, there you're going to hear us talk about things that maybe we want to do. Things that we want you guys and gals to tell us, yeah, we're interested in that, or no, we really don't care. Keep doing this. So please go over to the channel, subscribe. Once again, that's youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Video goes up this Thursday. And then, just give us your feedback. And as I mentioned, you can also check out Fight Night. Fight Night actually has its own website also by going to fightnight.com. That is FYTE night.com. That is our WWE 2K Fantasy League. You can also check out on the channel my Swerved review, not interview as I mistakenly said last week, and then my NXT Takeover Brooklyn review. And there's something else that's going to be happening. We have not been streaming a lot officially, but that's all about to change right now, because Keith has set up a huge challenge for himself that he's going to talk about right now.
Yeah, I mean, for all the time that we haven't streamed, we got a little bit of catch-up to do, so god damn it, I'm gonna do it. As you know, and we've kind of talked to death, we like Metal Gear Solid around here, at least 2/3 of us.
I like the first one. I need to play the other one.
We love Metal Gear. So we love Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 5 is right around the corner. Next Tuesday it comes out. I need to replay all the Metal Gear Solid games, really get myself up to speed on the whole MGS feel and phenomenon. So I'm going to do that on stream, and I'm going to start that tomorrow. as of Wednesday, August 26th, I'm going to stream Metal Gear Solid 1. I'm going to stream Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm going to stream Metal Gear Solid 3. And I'm going to stream Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh.
I'm going to try to get through all 4 core Metal Gear Solid games, and if I have time, maybe we'll go look at some of the others before Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out on Tuesday. Now, if you know how long those games are, that is a hell of a feat, so I'm going to give it my all. It's going to be a couple half days, because, I still have to keep this whole job thing I have going on.
That is important.
Expect a lot of Metal Gear Solid over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Byte that this weekend.
And ladies
That's
and
my
gentlemen,
pitch.
we all know if he was truly dedicated, he would play the NES one too, but he's chickening out.
That kind of falls into the whole if we have time.
There is that asterisk, Ryan.
You
Go
probably
F
should.
yourself.
Yeah, so once again, that's twitch.tv/Byte that. We'll be tweeting out whenever he goes live, so you can go hang out and talk some Metal Gear with him. Keith, what was
Yes.
the spot?
Oh, you mean the
people
most
wanna
hyped
know?
spot? The most hyped spot in Byte that history. Let me question for a question. Are you ready to know?
I don't know. Ryan, can we handle this? People have been asking. A lot of people during the match.
A lot of people
weeks
have
of
been
build-up.
asking. Weeks. I would even say months at this point.
Just
but
quick context.
Anyway,
We should probably,
Okay.
anybody that's listening for the first time, to summarize, Keith went to a house show.
First of all, welcome.
Yeah, hi. Are you doing good? Are you eating a donut too? I like it. So Keith, a couple of months ago, went to a house show and saw the triple threat match, Big Show, Ryback, Miz, and told us about this great spot. He didn't really go into detail, but said that if the match happened and that spot happened, it would be great, and he would point it out. So during the entire match,
did I say great?
yeah, you said you talked about it for like 6 minutes, man. One spot.
Oh, an entire 6 minutes.
So a bunch of people kept tweeting throughout the match, was that the spot? Was that the spot? Apparently we didn't get it. Keith, fill us in.
So yeah, Ryback, Miz, Big Show sucked. Wasn't a good match by any means of the word, but it was because it missed the spot, and the spot was this.
Here we go.
Man,
Miz gets thrown to the ropes. Miz gets thrown to the
yeah.
ropes. Jumps over the Big Show.
Keep going.
Sunset flip happens.
Oh, boy.
Miz is stuck below Big Show. He's trying to get the Big Show down. Not happening. Big Show's not budging. That's the word I'm looking for. Tension is rising.
almost
What is the
broken at
Miz
one point.
going to do? He was. Well, that's a whole other story. But tension is building. You don't know what's going to happen to the Miz. Is the Big Show going to crush him? You don't know. Now to save the Miz almost, Ryback comes straight out of nowhere, comes into the ring to save the day. And to save said day, what he does is he grabs the Miz's feet. He sets him up for a slingshot. Because Miz is under the Big Show, what happens is that the Miz's face gets slingshotted clean into the Big Show's taint. And the Big Show goes down. And that was the spot.
Why did that sound so sexual?
I don't know.
So that was
Because
the
you've got
spot.
a childish, dirty mind.
Probably that would probably contribute to Ryan. Are you feeling good? We heard
that was
about
a
it.
spot.
Yeah,
Have I heard about what?
the match would have probably still sucked, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so moving on
Okay,
to bigger,
moving on.
better things. We got the tag team match between Reigns, Ambrose taking on the Wyatt family at SummerSlam. No turn. We got a pretty clean win happening there. Now on Raw, we got a rematch, and just when it looked like we were having a normal match, we got and then once that came to an end, we see, man, I killed this.
Can we use that as like a transition in the future?
Oh, I know exactly what I'm using that for. Don't you worry.
I am scared now. Anyway, we get to see a huge freaking guy wearing a black sheep mask. I don't know if that's maybe a metaphor of what Eric Rowan's career is probably going to be like now. But we get to see Eric Rowan. He evolved, man. He went from like Charmander to Charizard in a couple of months. But yeah, we got Braun Stowman as the new third Wyatt family member. This guy is huge. He decimated Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose. What do you guys think?
He's a real big boy. I think huge is an understatement. It's almost eerie how much he looks like Bray Wyatt, beard and all. But I'm not really familiar with this guy. Was he in NXT at all?
He was never on camera. He was actually a rosebud, though, in NXT with Adam Rose. So there were a lot of pictures coming out there. He was signed with another really huge guy. There's actually a side-by-side picture with him and Finn Bálor, and the dude's just freaking tall and huge, man.
So do you think this is our answer for Leo Kruger? It was somebody that was a rosebud and now went out like crazy, dark, insane.
Mind blown.
But it is interesting to kind of note that this is the first guy in a long time who's jumping over the whole NXT thing and going straight up to the main roster. So first of all, he's lucky as hell, I guess you could say. I guess that's what's good about being a big dude with a beard is you can just join the Wyatt family. So that's pretty cool.
You have a place.
Yeah, it's weird because we're so used to knowing so much about the recent call-ups to Raw that, I really don't know much about this guy at all. But it kind of leaves something open for... We all thought Sting was going to be that third guy to be with Reigns and Ambrose. Now it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So who the heck is going to help Reigns and Ambrose?
Yeah, I guess we'll, as I always say, going to have to stay tuned and really find out. But just
do you have guesses?
I really don't know.
When is Eric Rowan supposed to come back?
He's injured, but is he even going to come back? I think the sheep mask might be an indication because it wasn't just the same one. And I think it's weird that they had him use the sheep mask.
No, well, it makes sense, though, because the whole black sheep thing, that's like the black sheep of the family. We can turn this into a
race war of sheep masks.
The black sheep is like the castaway, like the cast out or whatever. They're like Tom Hanks on an island. But
on a pole.
Yeah, on a pole. Judy Bagwell, whatever. So that makes sense because, Rowan had the sheep mask. Now you get the black sheep. It doesn't necessarily have to relate to Rowan, but it seems like the most obvious choice would be, I guess, if Rowan's can come back to help Reigns and Ambrose. I'm just kind of hoping it's a little more exciting than that, but we'll see.
Okay, so we're talking about a lot of possibilities. Now, the Divas Revolution is something that has been happening for a while. We complained about it a little bit last week. But then on Brooklyn, first we got the great match at NXT TakeOver. But then it seems like that for the Raw division, or the WWE Divas division, things aren't going quite as good. As a matter of fact, we got boring chants during their match. People were highly disrespectful. Obviously, the tag match at SummerSlam didn't really live up to a lot of people's expectations. Now, usually, that's where it ends. But then the Divas, including Paige and Nikki Bella, proceeded to go on social media and basically, talk crap about the Brooklyn audience. What do you guys think about the fact that they're just going, yeah, you guys suck, even though that's an international audience in one arena?
I think a lot of this was just kind of victim of circumstance in that a lot of these people went to all three shows and you're just kind of, we were talking about this during Raw. You just slowly get desensitized and it's harder to stay engaged and entertained. And the fact that these multi-diva matches don't exactly help the Divas Revolution because those matches, even when it's, when it's the guys wrestling, a lot of times it's very hard for people to stay interested and stay engaged, and they have to do a bunch of crazy spots to get everyone into it. So it's very hard for these divas in these, 6-man tag matches and 3-team matches to keep the audience engaged. And I just think by the third show, they were just kind of retaliating. And, WWE didn't really do the audience any favors to help them be interested in it.
And not only that, but if you assume that these are the people that went to all three shows, then these are the same people that watched Sasha Banks and Bayley tear the freaking house down 2 nights earlier. There's no way it could live up to those expectations. So, like you said, it's just a complete victim of circumstance.
And I think they had so many other ways they could address this, but to just go on Twitter and basically crap on your fans that, so, you know, you want to talk about a
How do you
revolution.
turn people against a revolution immediately? Do that.
Exactly, because then you're basically saying, oh, so sorry for having an opinion, even though we supported the other match and the crowd that was most reactive was towards a women's match 2 nights ago. But then we're wrong, and okay, cool, we get the double standard happening. So I really don't think they did themselves any favors.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a good idea to just go out and then yell at the audience for because you didn't get the reaction you wanted. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about it, and the audience is just going to crap all over you, whether you like it or not. But it's, you know, if you, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, there's things you can do. I don't know. Like, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but you know what I mean? Like,
there are many ways to do something that's not as crappy as that was.
Yeah. The audience.
That's one of those times where silence is golden. Like, just, it sucks. It's unfortunate. Don't address it and move on.
You just can't tell the audience that they're wrong. It's not going to work, you know, unless you're a heel, you know.
But it happened. So before we get to the questions, we do want to go to our WWE 2K16 weekly roster update that is happening over at IGN.com. There's a bunch of new gameplay footage, stuff that we can't really get to here, but we'll make sure to tweet that over at Byte That Cast on our Twitter account. With that being said, guys, here we go. Roster. Give me your reaction right after I say the names. Number 1, DDP.
Bang!
Alicia Fox. Cesaro.
All right.
Tyson Kidd.
Good theme.
I just like Keith do all the reactions.
Cameron. Big Show.
It's more than that.
Well, that was a deeper tone at least. Bam Bam Bigelow.
That's actually pretty cool.
Darren Young. Dolph Ziggler.
Expected.
Yeah.
All these names
It's like,
are, you know,
I'm sounding so negative, but it's because you expect it. Like, name the last video game the Big Show wasn't in.
Well, here's a guy we haven't seen for a while. Well, never mind. We actually got him in a DLC. Finley.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like Finley.
Layla. Kevin Nash.
Last game she'll be in.
Yeah. Kevin Nash.
Too sweet?
No, I appreciate you changing that up a little bit. Lex Luger.
I wonder if this game will be the total package.
Oh, The Miz is in the game.
Wow.
And Naomi. Ryan, can I get a combined reaction from all that?
Never mind.
Right,
If Naomi has her shoes and her attire, like with the light up shoes, like maybe they had like attach it to her health bar, so if she goes into the yellow thing, her shoes turn yellow.
That would be cool.
That would be awesome.
Hashtag real talk, Juan. Hashtag real talk. I think it's best if you just read all the names and then we just react at the end.
But then we
Instead
get to
of expecting Keith
going.
you're just gonna get Keith going.
That's
most
awesome.
of the time. Because I mean, how are we supposed to react to the Miz being in the game? We all know he's gonna be in the game, you know.
Yeah.
You know, people.
It's those few names. It's those few standout names that you really want to react to.
It's like when you see a
that
little
is my
mouse.
recommendation. Take it or leave it.
Fine. So next week we'll do that.
And he'll leave it.
But if the people demand that you know they want to hear them is, then let us know by sending a tweet. So that being said,
fanfic fantasies.
we've had some chocolate love and a lot of sexual innuendos this episode. It's been good. And let's make it even better by going over to the questions.
That we do. We've talked about donuts, we've talked about lovin', and now let's talk about your awesome questions that you sent to us by going to Byte That Cast on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, respectively, and sending your questions. So the first one this week comes from winner of our SummerSlam poetry contest, Mr. Gary Gullible, and he says, "Hey guys, what happened to the statue? Do you think Sting will give it back later? I want to see it at the WWE headquarters. Apparently Gary lives in Stamford, Connecticut, or somewhere nearby. But yeah, what the hell happened to Seth Rollins' statue, guys?"
I don't think it's the last we're going to see the statue. I think Sting just happened to move it somewhere else, And I think they are going to do something at WWE headquarters with it. So I fully expect to still see that statue. I don't think it's gone too far.
I think the timekeeper noticed that maybe there was a problem with the statue and then just sort of, called out an audible. So Sting's like, I'll just replace it.
I think we need just a rogue timekeeper storyline. I think we're overdue for one.
Yeah.
That would be great. By the way, quick side note, it has nothing to do with this question, but when the New Day tagged both members in and tried to pin themselves on SummerSlam,
cool.
That was genius.
It's nice.
I don't think I'd ever seen that before.
Yeah.
Those little things that we've never seen, they're so awesome.
It's little things like that keep a match honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But yes, rogue timekeepers. Sting probably transformed and turned it into the rafters, put it up there. Words, I don't know. We'll probably see it again. Thank you, Mr. Gullible, for the question. Next one comes from friend of the show, Cody Collier, and he asks, who would you guys like to see the Dudley Boyz face now that they're back in the WWE, and why?
There's not too many established tag teams that I really want to see them face right now, besides, of course, the New Day and I would say the Primetime Players. After that, I'm not too crazy about the other tag teams that are going on right now. Like Kid and Cesaro would be nice, but we don't even know if Kid's going to be able to come back. So those are the two I'd pick for now.
Yeah, my pick is actually Kid Cesaro. If that was still a team, I think that'd be a great match.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And just because it's such a clash of styles, I would love to see the Dudley Boyz feud with the Lucha Dragons, just to see if that match would be the worst thing ever or the best thing ever. There's no middle ground. Cool. It's one of the two. It would be pretty cool. But thank you for the question. The next one comes in from NKBE1324, #WansBoy. And he asks, do you think they should give Sting a title run? He personally doesn't think so, and he uses the hashtag AskBT, which, remember, because I don't think I said it at the start, Nope. If you want to send us a question, use the hashtag AskBT. But nonetheless, do you guys think they should give Sting the title?
I don't think they should give Sting a title run. I personally agree with you. Don't do it.
I say, if they want to give him a 1-month title run, I'm kind of okay with that. I know you guys are probably
You're just
totally
all
against
hands
it.
on deck with this.
I am all in with Sting, baby. We don't really see those, though, and it definitely would not be any more than a month. Like, Rollins' title reign, there's nothing surrounding it right now where he has to have this long streak or he has to have it all the way to WrestleMania, anything like that. So there's no reason they couldn't just give it to Sting for a month and then Rollins wins it back. I'm okay with it.
In my opinion, they've created a basically convenient plot device where it makes sense that Sting beats Seth Rollins, and that is the United States Championship. Like, what if John Cena, invokes his rematch clause at Night of Champions, and Seth Rollins has to, wrestle 2 matches that night? So a beatdown, worn down Seth Rollins would have to fight Sting, and now it kind of makes sense that Sting wins the title.
Because one of the things we didn't get to talk to is what the heck is John Cena going to do now? Because it seems like everyone else is kind of aligned in their matches, so that's a big possibility.
So I think we could see a Sting title reign, but that doesn't mean I want to see a Sting title reign. I don't.
But I do.
But you do. You're all in on this. I'm curious when it comes Night of Champion prediction time if we're both on the same side of the fence that we are so adamantly.
I just built the fence. I don't really care which side I'm on.
There's a really easy joke there, not touching it. On to the next question from Barney Johnson, and he asks, is Eric Rowan officially buried? And do you guys like Braun Strowman? Is it Strowman?
Let's go with it.
Stowman?
Stoffel?
Do you like Braun's submission finishing move? So yeah, Eric Rowan buried, Braun submission. What do you guys think?
I don't think there's a lot of use for Eric Rowan in the stable. I don't think there ever was, because we always talk really great about Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt, but I don't ever really remember us going like, wow, that Eric Rowan kid, he's going to go places. So I think Braun really fills the gap that should have never been empty there to begin with the Wyatt family. And the submission move, it's cool. the fact that he's tall, it works, but I don't know if it's a thing long term that I want to see, just end the match.
Exactly. And when thinking about Eric Rowan, a vivid podcast memory pops into my head where we just spent a couple minutes apologizing about Eric Rowan because we saw no hope in his future. And then he main evented a Raw once and we're like, God, we're so sorry, Eric Rowan. But I think we're back to...
we take it back.
Yeah, I think we can take it back at this point. But as far as the finisher goes, it's cool. Like Juan said, we already have a big man with a finishing move. Or a big man with a finishing move. With a submission. Yeah. Like a submission finishing move in Rusev. I don't know if we need another one of those. So it's cool, but I don't know if it makes sense for him to finish matches with it.
Yeah, it's a cool move. Eric Rowan, they had something with him during Survivor Series. He was heavily involved in a storyline and he was actually kind of getting over, and then they just abandoned all hope. I'm not giving up on him yet, but it's hard to say he's going to have anything besides a mid-card status in his career. Braun Stowman, cool move. Let's see how it carries when he uses it on different opponents.
Exactly. So our next question comes from Jack A on YouTube, and he asks, if you could see any old match type come back, for example, the championship scramble, what would it be? Now, as a direct answer to this question, we actually talked about it on episode 101, if you want to go back and take a listen to that. And championship scramble is pretty cool, so I'm going to say, I would like to see the scramble come back. On to the next question.
Okay. I was going to say, I think I said number one contenders matches was my answer.
Yes, that is also.
I'm just going to give another shout out to Judy Bagwell on a pole match. Those need to be on. Just not on Judy Bagwell, but they should just be on the show.
A Judy Bagwell on a pole in a Punjabi prison match is truly the penultimate WrestleMania main event from hell. Next question. True Prince of Bro asks, while watching NXT Takeover Brooklyn, I noticed the fans are in love with the demon Finn Bálor. It got me wondering, how would they have reacted if he wasn't the demon? Then I realized fans would probably be upset because Finn Bálor wouldn't come out as said demon. So I want to know if you guys think in the long run, the demon character will do more harm than good for Finn Bálor. I think Finn Bálor himself has the look to be the next John Cena, but I don't know if he can be the, quote, face that runs the place if he is the scary, creepy demon. Can he?
Finn Bálor, I think he's a super talented wrestler. The whole demon entrance thing is cool. Other than that, I'm not crazy about Finn Bálor. And granted, I don't watch NXT week to week. I still enjoy his matches, but I can't say I'm emotionally invested into Finn Bálor. Does he have the look to be the face of the company? Yes, but does he have the charisma? I'm not so sure. I don't know. Someone like, I'm not saying Sami Zayn could be the face of the company either, but he's just someone I am more drawn to and more invested in, just because, I don't know, his personality, his charisma, or whatever. So I don't know if he, could be that guy, but, certainly nobody thought Seth Rollins was going to turn into what he was, so that potential is always there.
For me, this has been a question since the first time he ever wore the paint on TakeOver, because on one hand, without the paint, he is an incredibly handsome guy, easily marketable. I mean, that is literally the next face of the company. When you put the face paint on or the overall paint, he can appeal to kids or people that want like a Jeff Hardy type look, or maybe people that just want to buy an action figure. He sticks out like that. The problem is that when you try to be a master of everything, you end up being sort of average at everything. So it's weird that we have the demon Finn Bálor and we have normal Finn Bálor on weekly NXT TV, but they both wrestle like the same guy. So why are you a demon then? If you wrestle the same as without the paint, I mean, you have a cooler entrance, that's badass, but then what? There's no substance to being called the demon. So I think in the long term, it is going to bite him in the ass, especially maybe in the main roster. but I think that his wrestling style is legitimately limited because they want to be both and just basically see what sticks.
Isn't that just WWE wrapped in a little bow, all style and no substance?
Pretty much.
Well,
Pretty much.
yeah.
All right, go ahead, Keith.
But no, I think you hit the nail directly, Juan. If Finn Balor normal and Finn Balor demon were two different styles, I think you would have something really special there. But it just comes down to theatrics. But it's not even... Like, I think the better comparison to Finn would be The Undertaker, how it's a big theatrical entrance every time he comes out, but you don't even get that with Finn. You're kind of like Juan said, you're going for the best of both worlds, but you're ending with none at the end of the day. So I think they need to commit to one or the other. Like, maybe there's a chance that on like televised shows we see nothing but the Demon Finn, because they don't have the problem of like Finn having to do his paint like 4 or 5 times because they're taping 4 or 5 NXTs in a row, right? So maybe that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. I mean, Festus had more depth in his character.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Like the two forms.
You know, those vignettes were really cool, but I don't think the WWE's done a very good job, at least up to this point, with really telling you why Demon Finn is so special, why he's so different than normal Finn, other than putting on a bunch of face paint.
It's like the Demon Kane and regular Kane.
Sure, let's go with that.
Exactly the response I expected.
The last quick thing I want to say from this is that he is the first guy, and I know this is going to be a really controversial opinion, but that on current WWE TV, he is a big guy solely based on his Japan career. He has a Bálor Club shirt, and since day one, people are just like, yeah, the Bullet Club. What's the Bullet Club? Oh, they're the thing in Japan, and he like made it. And okay, but he's in NXT now, so but the Bullet Club, you know, he had the face paint over there. Now he has that too here. Okay, but what about here? What is your identity here? He doesn't have that yet. Samoa Joe was also dealing with that issue. And sooner or later, once again, until...
Look at Hideo Itami.
Exactly.
I think that is the penultimate example of that.
Exactly.
Penultimate wasn't the right word, but it sounds cool,
it worked,
so I'm going to stick with it.
So I think everybody gets the point. I'd actually like to get some comments about this. What does everybody think about Finn Balor, face paint, no face paint? Send us a tweet. Or if you're on YouTube, just drop it down below.
Yeah, drop it like it is hot. Much like Monica G did with her final question for the show, where she asks, hey guys, why don't they announce the Divas' weight when they come out? They do it for every other male wrestler, but never the women. I've been wondering this for a while, and she Googled it and nothing really came up. So she's wondering if we have any opinions on this, really. And then she says she's obsessed with the podcast. She's been going back and listening to all of them while she works, and they make her day. Now, depending on how far you go back, I apologize, but thank you for the support.
Episode 14.
Now, I kind of... Yeah, don't go listen to that.
It was actually 17, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't listen to either, just in case. We love you. I just kind of want to... start off and saying, I think, honest to God, and it might sound a little messed up, I think it's 100% an image thing. This is all opinion, but I think it's an image thing. They want the Divas to be this, like, sexy, like, almost unobtainable thing of beauty when they go into the ring, and maybe, like, giving them a weight makes them more human in that respect. Plus, I mean, as far as, like, female standards go in entertainment, the higher the number, the more detrimental it is, as unfortunate and messed up as that is. Now, if you're coming out as a team of 3 people, you're going to say during that entrance a combined weight of, like, let's say 550 pounds. That doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound sexy, right? So I think that's why they... depending on what you're into, I should say, but I don't think that sounds very good, and I think that's why they stray away from it.
Yeah, just basically, I agree with everything Keith said. Just to add to it, it's just at least in American culture, it's just normal social etiquette that women don't talk about their weight and things like that. So I think it's seen as like a polite thing. But, you know, from an equal rights standpoint, you know, if the women, you know, this could be part of the whole like Divas Revolution thing if like the focus is strictly on like let's do everything like the guys do it, let's be about the wrestling, then you announce their weight just like you would any other wrestler. But I think as of now it's just like a culture thing that, you know, and I'm sure it's more than just American culture where women just don't discuss their weight, and it's rude for someone to ask women how much they weigh. So I think that's what it is. But I mean, they do it in UFC, so if they kind of want to just follow that trend, and obviously UFC has its reasons with weight classes and all that, but yes.
Yeah, you guys have pretty much stated anything that I could possibly add more to it, but I think that if they do want to work with the Divas Revolution, do something about it. Because if you want to be a role model, if you want to, you know, be that special person to show anybody that you can do it, then stop hiding stuff. Just let it out there. Once again, Ronda Rousey, if somebody's revolutionizing something somewhere else and it's working, maybe do that. Treat them like everybody else. Stop treating them like divas. Treat them like human beings. Maybe that can work. So something that people helped us with the human being thing somehow. Jim Cornette. We beat him out, guys. We got over the Jim Cornette plague.
We did it, Gunner.
Let's not go there. That's probably around as bad. No, that's worse. So yeah, Ryan's actually going to be reading out a couple of the reviews that all of you sent out. And if you like the show, maybe this is your first time, maybe you'd like Monica G, you've tuned in for a very long time, you like the show, send us a review, and then maybe you can join the family there.
Yes, first I want to thank a couple of people who wrote reviews for us, including Enjoy7CA, Turkey and Bacon, Prez Music, Toast Nation. I have a feeling that might be you, Fresh Toast, but thank you. And
you have
now
a nation of toast?
There's a couple of interesting reviews that I wanted to read that I figured you guys would find pretty entertaining. So this one comes from Doe573, and his review is, "There will never be another podcast half as good as Byte That. I was there when they recorded their first episode in my mammy's garage, and when they got their first groupie. It was a little old lady walking by the house. She looked constipated and she was only wearing one shoe, but I could see the passion and love of wrestling in her eyes.
Oh yeah, that's old Matilda. She's a good person.
Love, don't interrupt me. It was that love that led her to stay and listen until Keith put her through the Spanish announce table, breaking her hip.
Explains so much.
Eventually Matilda needed to go. I'm sorry.
I was there when Ryan and Cena had their epic feud in 2012, and when Mankind bet Juan he could beat him in rock, paper, scissors, and the loser would shave his head in 2014.
Explains so much.
No one agreed to 2 out of 3. You lost, now pay up, Mankind. This is the greatest podcast of all time, and you 3 should be in the WWE Hall of Fame." Thank you for that. It's very sweet. All right, so this next one comes from 3 Bananas Moon, and it says, "This isn't the best review, this is just a tribute. This podcast was completely ineffective at curing my gonorrhea. Highly recommended this to anyone suffering from simultaneous night terrors and a spastic colon. My bed sheets have never been cleaner. A+, guys."
Amazing.
Like that. We'll clean your bed sheets.
Yes, there was a lot of other great heartfelt reviews, and thank you, everybody. You don't necessarily have to write a review like that, but we appreciate.
But apparently, we'll read them on the show.
Yes, but if they aren't that entertaining, we might just have to read them on the show. But that is the episode. I'm gonna close it out. I'm trying to keep my composure after that.
Gonorrhea.
Yeah, but we want to thank everyone for tuning into another edition of Byte That. Of course, the Plugarinos. We've got Juan's Swerve review. You can see the full review to NXT Brooklyn as Juan goes over it match by match. All of that is on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, do so. And don't forget, we have the channel update video going up this Thursday as well. And that's just kind of us taking a look at the channel, talking about what's coming up and what more you guys might want to see from us. I'll also be doing a discussion video this Saturday or Sunday. It'll be up this weekend. Don't you worry about that. And of course, you can check out our social media. You can follow us on Twitter @ByteThatCast. Go to Facebook.com/ByteThatCast. Like us there. We're on Wrestling Amino. And everything else, you can go to ByteThat.com or FightNight.com if you want to check out Fight Night. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
I'll get you, mankind.